What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today I'm talking about 5 songs that were really good and the albums that preceded them were absolutely not that great. Just one of those things where like the song made you really hype, but the actual album probably didn't live up to what you were looking for to the records. But before we get with that, I'm going to start with my jams of the week, where I give you 3 songs I can't stop listening to. Now, the first one is a throwback one. It's my good friend Dylan had a band back in 2018 called Engraved, and the song is called Ravenous off their 2018 EP Drug Knife. This song is like a mix of hardcore and the Deftones. The breakdown is huge and fucking brutal. It's a really, really exciting like mash of these 2 different styles. And if you listen to the record in its entirety, it's a beautiful representation of how hard music can be very artsy as well too. So that's my first one right off the rip. Engraved, Ravenous. Check that shit out. My next one is Jamie's Elsewhere, which I'm pretty sure I probably messed that one up, but it's off their 2010 album They Said a Storm was coming, and the song is called Mapmaker. This is a good representation of metalcore at that time. Electronic drops and other great post-hardcore elements that were added into this song, and the song is very just catchy as well too. My next song is switching it up, man. Eminem's just dropped a new record not too long ago, and I think it's a really kick-ass record. And the song I'm choosing is the song he does with Young Ma, 2020's Music to Be Murdered By. And to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised with this record. I didn't think I was gonna like it, and it's one of those like, surprise, he's dropping a record, and I'm like, okay, let's check it out. You know what I'm saying? I like Eminem. And to be completely honest with you, it's actually a really great record, and it's got some really good songs on it, even though some people will tell you whatever other bullshit. But whatever, I think it's a great song, and those are my 3 jams of the week: Engraved, Ravenous, Jamie's Elsewhere, The Mapmaker, and Eminem featuring Young Ma. God, what is the song called? I don't even have it written down. I feel like an asshole now. But it's the first song off the actual record, so there's, my crack podcasting at its best. So really quick, guys, before we start the show, I want to talk about something special going on in my life. February 28th, for one night only, my old band Devil Inside is getting back together. My last episode, I had my good friend Josh on, and we were talking about it before we got started with the podcast, and it looks like it's going to happen. So it's February 28th for one night only. Devil Inside with The Mighty Fall, On Your Deathbed, Dread These Days, and it's going to happen at All Tones Music Hall in Jewett City, Connecticut. It's an all-ages show, and it's only $10, so come out, have a good time, and I'm very excited to get together, even if it's just for one night with my good friends and my brothers in metal. All right? Thanks. All right, guys, so now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the show, and we're going to talk about 5 songs that I thought were really awesome, and the albums that preceded them, not so great. Now, some of these, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, what the heck do you mean that wasn't a great album? Or why didn't you think it was a great album? I say the same thing to all my friends, different strokes for different folks. And we all have a lot of reasons why we like something, we don't like something. Even if it's from a band that we have been listening to for years, a lot of the time you get something that you weren't either ready for, or in some of the cases of these bands, you have a lead singer change and it just does not give you the same vibe that the established vocalist before has started. And that's a hard thing to deal with sometimes. But nonetheless, I'm going to start here. Like I said, 5 songs. All right. And the first one I'm going to start with is the Westfield Massacre, or Westfield Massacre, because I'm pretty sure there's no "the" in there. And the song is called Famine. Now, the first time I heard this song, it was on one of my Spotify lists. And I heard it come on, and it just had this like new metal mixed with metalcore, and it stuck out. The vocals were really good, and it was really, really catchy chorus. Once again, something I really love when it comes to heavy songs, or heavy songs that do have singing in them. And then I found out who the former vocalist of this band was. Once again, this is a band that went through a vocalist change, and the vocalist before was Tommy Vex, which I don't know if you guys know. Tommy Vex is really good. So I knew anybody who was stepping into this role had some really, really big shoes to fill. And while the song Famine is absolutely like a banger to me, I absolutely love it, the album Salvation was not really that great, unfortunately. There were some good songs on there, but for I would like to say the changing in vocalist with the music that they do, for me, it just didn't fit well. It was like trying to put a, square peg into a round hole, if you will, with that kind of analogy. So it just kind of was kind of a letdown for me. I like I said, I really enjoyed the song Famine, but the album Salvation was absolutely terrible. So there's that. My next song is from a band that I really have liked their last two releases, but this album just, I don't know what happened. I think maybe it was a little bit rushed, and it's Wage War. The song is called Low. The album's called Pressure. Now, the song Low is absolutely amazing. It gets all the feels for me. You definitely understand where the opinion is coming from. Maybe now with the success of Wage War, some people are forgetting that they're still people, people, but they're artists as well too, who right now are enjoying, good time in the spotlight, whatnot. But I do feel, with that being said, that the album Pressure was just very underwhelming. They took a lot of risk, and there's nothing wrong with that. I get that as an artist, you have to take some risk, but I don't feel like this was anything that was genuine. I feel like this was something more forced. It felt forced, and it's not to say that this album doesn't have some good songs on it. It really does have some good songs, but overall as an album, when you hear the song Low and you compare it to everything else on the album, it just doesn't stack up, man. It really doesn't stack up to what I was expecting when hearing the song Low. And I was a little bit disappointed about that, because they're a great band who put on great shows. But this album just wasn't it for me. So Wage War, Low, album's called Pressure. Sorry, guys. The next artist I'm going to talk about, to be honest with you, I didn't really like them right off the rip, but their last record was really, really good. And, it's something that, one of those things where you're trying to, understand why a particular band is successful. You know what I'm saying? And the song, and the band is I Prevail, and the song is called Scars. Scars was like a really good song, especially after, to be honest with you, these guys were really known for the Taylor Swift cover for a while. And that's all anybody ever knew. While I wasn't the hugest fan of the cover, I did think it was interesting, and I think it brought a lot to them. And hey, man, some bands have to use something else to get somewhere else, and mad props to these guys, because these guys are doing phenomenal. They're doing, great business and whatever the case is. But when I heard the song Scars, I totally felt it. I totally understood where they were coming from. And, it was a great song, especially, the beginning part. They try to tear us apart, but know that we'll wear our scars. That's awesome. The album Lifelines is a lesson in being generic, to be honest with you. It is absolutely unoriginal. It has no, I can't really, and it's not to knock these guys' work, because I'm sure somebody loves this album, and that album Lifelines was everything to that person. And to be honest with you, their new record sounds a lot better than Lifelines did. And I'll give them props on that. But this album right here did not live up to me. I didn't like their EP that they released before this. This was not good and very extremely generic, but those guys found a niche, and they are doing extremely well. So me not liking the album, that's just a personal thing. Like I said, different strokes, different folks. This wasn't it for me. Now, the next band I'm going to talk about, this is almost sacrilege because I absolutely love this band. I thought that they are amazing. They have formed a lot of who I am as a vocalist. And this is kind of hard, but as a whole, when I look back on it, I had to be honest with myself. And it's Killswitch Engage. The song is Strength of the Mind, which is an absolutely favorite, amazing song. I still love the song. But the album Incarnate just, yeah, it missed a lot of marks for me. So to kind of explain, so obviously the situation here is, once again, we've got a band whose original vocalist, or not really original vocalist, because technically speaking, Jesse Leach was the original vocalist. But Howard Jones, unfortunately, became the voice of this band and became the identity of this band. And then they brought back Jesse Leach. No disrespect to Jesse Leach. I think he's a great vocalist, but unfortunately, I don't think he's good for Killswitch Engage. And this is the biggest problem that I have with this record and the recent record that just dropped. It's hard, man. It's like, you know, when you go somewhere and you enjoy a particular food and you come back every time and it's absolutely the most amazing dish, but then the cook that used to cook that food just quit. And now they got another guy in there, and no disrespect to Pablo, he's just not cooking it like my boy Juan was. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem here, man. It's Howard Jones is gone. Jesse Leach is back, and he's just not, to me, he's just not bringing it the way Howard brought it. And I understand they're two completely different vocalists from two complete different backgrounds, but this album, man, it just... And like I said, this is hard for me because, to be truly honest with you, this band has shaped a lot of who I am as a vocalist. The End of Heartache was an amazing album to me, and it changed a lot about me, you know. It sucks that, you know, they're in the position that they are. They're still a really talented band. They still write well, and I'm sure there's millions of people who probably think my opinion is fucking bullshit. And that's cool and all, and that's cool for them, but I'm sorry. The identity of Killswitch Engage is Howard Jones, and unfortunately, you know, even Jesse Leach coming back, who's the original vocalist of Killswitch Engage, is not helping it, unfortunately. So yeah, this one hurt. I'm sorry, guys. This one really hurt. So my last song is from a band I actually listed in my jams of the week this week. And it's Jamie's Elsewhere, Sick Fiction, and the album's called Rebel Revive. Once again, we have another situation where the old vocalist left and joined Of Mice and Men to become their bass player, and now he's their vocalist. And this one, you know, there was a lot of hype here. Jamie's Elsewhere was off the map for a while. And I heard this song sick. Well, to be honest with you, you know, my friend Josh kind of put me on to this band, while they had this new vocalist. And I think, I can't remember the name of the song he showed me. It was kind of like a demo of theirs for a while back in 2012. And then they dropped this song, Sick Fiction, which is a great song. It's well written. I think it talks about how people in the scene can be so mean to people and make them not feel a part, which is a very terrible thing, you know, because as it is, people who usually get involved in our music or the metal scene or heavier music, a lot of people are just looking for somewhere to really fit in. And this song kind of discusses how some people, certain bands, certain set of groups, certain people do everything in their power to alienate people who enjoy the music, want to have fun, and go out of their way to be just complete pieces of shit to people, which is, you know, stupid. So the song, to me, absolutely well written, great song. The album,